Well, a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back yet again to round 7 of the Armed Forces Virtual Race Challenge. Tonight here from Silverstone International. David Christie here with you in the virtual commentary booth. And I am beyond delighted to welcome back my good buddy John Knighton after a week of unexplained absence. He's back with me. We're not letting him go ever again from this place. But John, obviously taken up with other duties last week. Welcome back. You missed quite the show at Spa.
Yeah, cheers, David. Thank you. And it's great to be back again. I'm actually commentating football last week, so I wasn't on holiday, as some people might think. But yeah, it's great to be back. And I cannot believe it's round 7 already at the Silverstone International Circuit. But from what you say, David, earlier on before we came on live, it sounded like quite an interesting evening at Spa last weekend. But some familiar faces at the top of the pile again.
Certainly is. Championship-wise, it's Craig Durant that is making a big statement this far into the season, but he didn't get it all his own way last time out at Spa. The first race was one to absolutely forget for him, and if it wasn't for his amazing comeback recovery drive in race 2, he would have really struggled to get anything from that weekend. But nonetheless, we move on, and here we are at the business end of the championship then. We've just got 3 more rounds after tonight to go. We head off to Snetterton for the 300. We then go to the Silverstone GP track, and then it is off to Brands Hatch GP, where we get on our finale on the end of April / beginning of May. But here's the team's championship then. RAFE Motorsports at the top of that field there, 135 points now, despite the drivers' championship looking fairly poised in one way. This is all to play for, but it is the story of RAF, with RAF Motor Racing GT3 on 130 points in second place, RAF E-Motorsports GT3 in third place, and RAF Motor Racing GT4 in fourth position. British Army GT4 in fifth position, RAF Central Fund GT4 in sixth, Royal Navy GT3 in seventh, RAF Central Fund GT3 in eighth position, with British Army GT3 in ninth, and the Veterans GT3 in 10th position. Great to see them getting some points on the board there. But as I said, Craig Durant though at the top of the championship standings, what looks like about 46 points ahead of Chris Darnell. The other point that we figured out from this championship, John, though, is that the GT4's consistently scoring more points than the GT3s.
Yeah, maybe that's not so surprising in a way. There are fewer of them, of course, and they have a few more toys to help them, don't they, I suppose, to negotiate these tricky circuits. I think it'll be interesting tonight to see how they deal with the international circuit here at Silverstone, which of course we're back again after the shorter track a couple of weeks ago, and a bit more space maybe for them to spread themselves out, and who knows, we may see a little bit more thrills and spills. But having watched a bit of the shenanigans earlier on today, I think we're in a few more thrills and spills tonight, David, having watched them in qualifying.
Yeah, I think that is an absolute given with how close things are in qualifying. Matty Chambers currently at the top of the timing screens just now, with just 7.5 minutes left to go in qualifying, 103.80, but a very spread out field further down the order towards, say, outside the top 10. But as it is, Ryan Martin just 0.2 of a second behind Matty Chambers. Interesting to see as well, Craig Durant down in that 14th place, but obviously in the GT4s, but yet again, John, being bested by the likes of Adam Barron.
Yeah, Adam's been doing really well, hasn't he? Because didn't he not win the second race last week at Spa in the GT4 class? Yeah, he's really come on very strongly over the last few weeks. Certainly a man to watch, and if his qualifying times are anything like what we've been seeing so far, he could well be certainly in the podium place later on this evening.
Just watching Adam Barron going round for RAF Central Fund GT4. 107.894 is his fastest time of the evening so far, and again just really allowing the drivers to stretch their legs tonight on these wonderful variants of the circuit. Of course, as we said, we're at the version of Silverstone that is the international circuit, so it's 1.85 miles, so it does the majority of the circuit, but just at a village. Instead of cutting back at the loop and cutting to the left, it then just joins on to the hangar straight. So again, a real test, and for some of these drivers, I think early on in qualifying, maybe going to get a little bit confused and a little bit caught out.
Yeah, it's quite possible, isn't it? This circuit, it's like a different circuit from what we saw a couple of weeks ago. I mean, totally different circuit. So much will depend on how much practicing they've been able to do during the week, I guess. And I know quite a few people will have probably spent a lot of time getting familiar with the twists and turns of this very different Silverstone track. But Matty Chambers right at the top of the leaderboard at the moment in qualifying, and Ryan Martin chasing very hard. Matty Isherwood up there as well. So some familiar names. Chris Boland as well. He's not too far behind on his outlap at the moment. So we've still got about 5 or 6 minutes to go. So there are still places up for grabs on this grid in both the GT3 and the GT4.
100%, and that is absolutely the case here. 4.5 minutes left to go here. Matty Chambers up at the top of the time tower for GT3, Aaron Barn at the top for GT4. But again, qualifying such an important case for these races here, because you kind of want to make sure that you are out of harm's way. We've certainly seen it on the start. We've seen quite a few issues as the cars go over for that rolling start. But we're watching Craig Durrant here for British Army GT4, and again, he sounded fairly okay with the recovery drive that he did last week, but a little bit frustrated that he had to do it, but still in a very strong position. And you'd have to say, John, the position that he's given himself over the rest of the season has almost allowed him to have that week off.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if anyone's a surefire heading towards that title at the moment, it is definitely Craig. But there's still what, 3 evenings left or 6 races to go. So we still have plenty to play for here. And I think the team championship is looking well. The RAF look like they've already sewn that up, don't they? In all aspects. Would like to see the veterans coming on a bit stronger over the next few weeks as well. I'm not quite sure what's gone wrong with them this year. They were so good on the MX-5s last. Maybe we can do a bit more digging into that a bit later on and find out what they've struggled with, because it's always good to see the veterans doing well and giving some of these young whippersnappers a bit of a run for their money, but it's not happened so far.
Yeah, I think it's just it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because we saw that at the beginning of the season, and obviously, you do have a bit of a vested interest with the veterans, but it just hasn't seemed to gel at all for them this season. And I wonder if it's the amount of preparation that some of these teams have taken is maybe caught some of the other teams off guard a little bit, where you'd maybe be treating this as a weekly event. But I've got no doubt that a lot of these drivers will be putting in as many hours as they possibly can with the desire to improve on those lap times and also improve on their consistency as well, with how important that is. And let's not forget, John, I mean, sim racing has come on in leaps and bounds in the past couple of years as well now, and even to the point where you can actually pay to get professional sim racing coaching now, something that you would normally reserve for real life race drivers is now available for sim racers with exactly the same tools, the likes of telemetry, live lap data, your acceleration, your deceleration, all that sort of stuff is now of critical importance.
Watching Tom Stevens at the moment in his GT3 from the Royal Navy. One driver I might be looking out for this evening, I'll tell you what, Dave, is Chris Slater. Now and Tom Stevens, that's not very nice, is it? Not a very nice way to treat your GT3. what I'm looking out for tonight is Chris Slater. Now, he has just told us off the record that he's not been doing very much practice this week. In fact, he's back on the car for the first time, I think, tonight. He's had no practice at all today. What do you reckon his chances are of doing really well tonight as a result of that?
Well, look, the thing is that Silverstone's a very well-known track, and it's very wide as well, so it's very forgiving. The difference is the car that he's in is not very forgiving. That 992 Cup car it's a bit of a handful, and that's putting it politely, especially with all these GT4 cars. The fact that he's not practiced it all that much, I think he might get away with it, but certainly if it was a track, say like Knockhill, I think that would be much more likely to catch him out. This track, especially this layout, a lot of fast flowing corners, very easy to pick up, but it's very difficult to master.
It looks like he's enjoying himself at the moment in the final echelons of qualifying, but he's in 7th place at the moment in the GT3. Darren Berris doing well too, 6th place, but Matty Chambers looks to have nailed his pole position so far. And again, just seeing that Andy Barron is right up there, isn't he, in the GT4 too, with Michael Clough just behind him. So. And Craig Durrant slips down to 3rd at the moment, and we are literally in the last moments now of qualifying.
Yeah, we certainly are. So still watching Chris Slater just making his way round just now, and what a great qualifying session we've had. Matty Chambers up in pole position from Matty Isherwood. Adam Barnes still has the upper hand over Michael Clough. Now, that is a shock to see Craig Durrant all the way down in 3rd place. That now means that it's another 2 cars that are in front of him, but what makes me wonder, is it going to be a case of he's now just thinking about the points that he has to get here? That is the question. Here comes Matty Banyard. He's going to have to watch out as he comes into store. Yeah, that's going to ruin his lap. So GT3 up the inside of in fact, no, that wasn't Matty Isherwood. It's all these blue cars, all these blue GT3s. It's very, very easy to get them mixed up here, John.
Yeah, not easy, is it, to actually make out who's doing what? You have to really go on the stats that we're seeing on our screen in front of us. And who's that? It's just come across several drivers come across there. Look like Matthew Banyard having to stay out of the way, stay out of trouble. And what's that? Ryan Martin there? I don't know. Anyway, we are at the end of qualifying, and so we'll very, very soon see this grid lineup, and I presume we're going for rolling starts tonight, are we, David? I've not heard anything different.
We had the rolling starts as well, so I'm fingers crossed, as I said, that is going to be the case as well tonight. I do think that was just a bit of a mix-up that happens that last time. The other thing for me is we have to spend a little bit of time. In fact, we'll come back to Matty Isherwood in just a second. Let's take you through the grid then for our first race tonight. Matty Chambers on pole position for the Royal Navy GT3 alongside RAF Motor Racing GT3's Matthew Isherwood. Ryan Martin in 3rd alongside Chris Bolland in 4th. On row 3 is Tom Stevens with Dan Berris, and then it's Chris Slater alongside Stu Etic with Ollie Waynes and Chris Darnell on row 5. Row 6 is going to be Colin Scott in 11th and Ben Weston in 12th position. Adam Barron is then going to lead off the GT4s. So that is your GT3s just now. We'll move over to the GT4s, where we see Adam Barron on pole position from Michael Clough. Then it's Craig Durrant and Luke Arpino on row 2 chasing them up. Duncan Steele and Dan Hardwick on row 3, and then row 4 Steve Ward and Dave Russell with James Fielding and Matty Banyard in row 5. At the back of the GT4s is Michael Tate. Just very quickly, while we're away to get our pace lap underway, John, Matty Isherwood this weekend, fresh from a very exciting week racing in real life.
Yeah, so I gather. Yeah, he's had a good weekend. Of course, it's great to see that we are back up and running with real live motorsport again. Although wintry conditions suggest that we might have to wait for a few weeks yet for some summer conditions. But I think we're ready for the start, aren't we?
Yep, we are. So And now, have we gone for a standing start again?
It looks like it. Oh, it's chaos.
Right, well, let's just glaze past that one then. The predictable
what do we know
of a standing start. And one man that's been absolutely caught out by that is Craig Durrant. He is down to 5th position. We've got cars absolutely everywhere. Dan Hardwick is off into your nearest available barrier here. And I get the feeling that is going to have caught quite a lot of the drivers out with that standing start. Matty Chambers, though, has done well, but Matty Isherwood all the way down to 7th place. He has been well and truly caught out.
Yeah, and Stevens, Berris and Slater have made some hay out of that one. Matt Isherwood now back up to 6th place again. Ollie Wayne 7th with Chris Boland in 8th place, but things changing all the time. I wonder whether there was any prior knowledge about this. Maybe a few drivers had some prior knowledge, I don't know, about how that start was going to happen. But Adam Barron, great start for him, and the same with Mr. Alpino as well. He's up to 2nd, and Ward as well, doing really well too, to get himself into 3rd place in the GT4. So yeah, that's certainly put the cat among the pigeons early doors, hasn't it, David?
Goodness me. Now, the reason that I was bringing up Matty Isherwood in his Legends racing this weekend is because I knew I'd seen something that I couldn't quite remember on social media. It was his first Legends race, and he went and won it. He won on his debut, so he will be absolutely buzzing tonight to get out on here, but he's not had the best of starts, so it's not looking likely that he's going to make magic happen twice here at Silverstone. But Matty Isherwood down in 6th position. Meanwhile, with the GT4s, it's Adam Barron from Luke Arpino, and then you've got Steve Ward with Durant in 4th position. Matty Banyard, though, coming up from 10th place onto that 5th position on the grid. That is a start and a half there, but 2 minutes in and we're on to our 2nd lap, and yeah, I'm still trying to decipher what we just saw there.
Well, what we saw was a little bit of carnage at the start, but actually probably not as bad as it might have been. Matt Isherwood now to 5th place, just behind Chris Slater in 4th. Darren Berris still keeping his 3rd place, and Tom Stevens 2nd with Matty Chambers just having that 1.2 second lead at the moment at the top. But with Ryan Martin at the moment, who is going pretty well. Let's just have a look at that start again, shall we? Caught everybody out, just about everybody caught out. And look at the number of screeching brakes we had. And Ben Weston, really, that was not good for him, was it? Not a good start for him.
That's such a shame, because of course if you're caught out unaware by that, as that's a huge hit onto Dan Hardwick, sent spearing into the gravel trap there, and it's really difficult to watch, because you know how much preparation these drivers put into this race, and something like that to upset the apple cart, it's just one of those things.
When it's not their fault, yeah.
Exactly.
When it's not, yeah.
Exactly, but you have to kind of swing with the punches, and we'll see how it lies. But Matty Chambers still in the lead of this race, then from Stevens up in 2nd position, then Tom Stevens with Dan Berris in 3rd, Matty Isherwood now up to 4th place, Chris Slater in 5th, Ollie Wayne in 6th, Ryan Martin up to 7th position, Chris Darnell in 8th, Colin Scott in 9th. Here's a replay of the start then for the GT4s, and you can see that on the inside, Michael Clough just getting it all wrong and going backwards. Probably the safest incident to have there, going into what looks like Abbey.
Did he take a bit of a nudge there? I think he might have taken a nudge. But yeah, it was a good recovery actually from Michael Clough, and he's still in 4th place. So, you know, he's recovered really well, hasn't he, from that 4th place in the GT4. So he's done well there to recover his position.
Certainly has.
Up to 3rd now,
Matty Banyard up to 4th, and Michael Clough into 3rd. Here's Steve Ward for the RAF Motorsport. Slow corner, so easy to do that. The tail end of these GT4s, just not as planted, not as secure in the same way as the GT3s, because obviously it doesn't have that massive big spoiler at the back end of that GT4. But this is Dan Berris for GT3s now. And have a look at Matty Isherwood. He's stalking him. They're already going to be side by side, surely, as they come down the hanger straight towards Stoke Corner. And he's done it. Matty Isherwood up into third position here. It's now going to be Tom Stevens that's going to be next on the chopping block right now, and it looks like Chris Slater is a little bit further behind, so I think Dan Berra is certainly safe in a fourth position for now as they come down into the left-hander just after Vale. This is Chris Boland. Let's see what happens to him as he makes his exit from Stowe Corner. You can see a car off into the background there. That's an awkward one, because it's you lock up the car under braking, and with these GT3 Cup cars, the 992 version, John, balance and weight transfer is so crucially important. If you go on the brakes too hard while you're trying to turn at the same time, you're going to find something bad like that, as Michael Tate just grabs a bit of the grass there and ends up going off to play by himself. He'll get rejoined with no damage on that car. But as we come up towards the halfway point of the race here, it's still Chambers from Stephen from Isherwood, Beres, Slater and Waynes. Then GT4s, it's Adam Bam out by about a second over Luke Arpino, Michael Clough in third, Matty Banyard in fourth, Jude Fielding in fifth position, and Steve Ward down in sixth. So GT3s and GT4s, despite that interesting start to calm down very, very quickly, John. And if anything, the GT4s are completely calm compared to the GT3s.
Yeah, this extra room that you have on the international circuit does allow that to happen, of course. I'm just really impressed with Matt Isherwood. He's made a fantastic recovery from what was a pretty disastrous start. Got himself up there. Darren Berry's doing well too. He's only half a second behind, so he's not really suffered too much as a result of Isherwood overtaking him. And Tom Stevens just 3 seconds now behind Matty Chambers. So Chambers looking good at the moment for getting a top spot in this race, if he can hold his position. But if Matt Isherwood starts making another push, then who knows where he could end up.
That's a very, very good point. But if I'm honest, I think Chambers has got the measure of even Isherwood. Isherwood charging and certainly has the pace potential to take Tom Stevens, but not your race leader right now, because Matty Chambers lapping faster slightly than Matty Isherwood down in third position. A 104.619, and you can see just how much Isherwood is pushing there, but a 104.737. So again, just proving that point there. Isherwood faster than the car in front, but not faster than your race leader. We've hit the halfway point, and look at that, onto the brakes. That is absolute commitment, just sends it up the inside. You've got GT4 just appearing out of nowhere there. Goodness knows where that one had actually come from, but look at this dogfight going on. This is amazing respect and determination from both Tom Stevens and Matty Isherwood. Neither driver wanting to give head nor tail. They're going to have to go, and Matty Isherwood, that was super clever there, knew that the GT4 was going to have to box it in. And look at Dan Beres, he fancies having a go at Tom Stevens as well. That's not going to happen. You're going to have 4 cars try to go through Stowe Corner, and that GT4 is very grateful to be left alone in peace. GT4 drivers, when they get lapped by these GT3s, I can imagine it's a lot of frustration and a lot of panic that goes across their faces.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a great bit of driving there from Matt Isherwood, really. Very controlled, very disciplined when he had Tom Stevens ahead of him. And the back marker, as you say, in the GT4. But now, can Matt Isherwood put any pressure on Matty Chambers in these last few laps? That's the big question, I think.
For me, John, the question is, what the heck has happened to Craig Durant? He's only down in 8th position now. He was about 8 seconds at one point behind Fielding for that position. So that has been a horrible, horrible lap there for Craig Dunn, and he is really struggling to get anything done. That's going to be a big eat into his points. And championship-wise, wow, that is potentially huge.
It is indeed. I think we were concentrating really on the GT3s there and didn't really see what happened with Craig Durant there. But yeah, obviously something must have happened. But Adam Barron maintains his lead with Luke Arpino in second place. Michael Clough still holding his own very much in third place. But look at the gap. 13 seconds now. That's really too much, isn't it, to have to make, I think, in what's left of this race. But Matt Isherwood, is he closing the gap? I think the gap has increased, actually. I think Chambers has increased his lead by around about a second on Matt Isherwood.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on with that one, because Isherwood, again, as I said earlier, he had the pace to get past Stevens but didn't have anything for Matty Chambers. Maybe just not used as much of his tyre, maybe just not gelling with the car and track combination as much as Matty is. But as it stands with 4.5 minutes left to go, it's looking very, very good for that 144 of Matty Chambers for the Royal Navy GT3. This is a replay then of Steve Ward for RAF Motorsports GT4.
Hit the grass.
Yep, same accident that he's already had, and again, very lucky. No, he's not very lucky. That is what happened to Craig Durrant. So huge thank you to Mike Yao behind the scenes for catching that one, because he knew exactly what the question we were asking, and that is your answer, and that is a very beat-up looking Army GT4. And he found his way to the pits.
Yeah, I think he's got a puncture, hasn't he? Or he's certainly lost something there. So it's not Craig's day so far. That is for sure. Yeah, he's on his way into the pits, isn't he? And so he's definitely got a puncture. It looks like. Yeah, he's crabbing his way round.
That's
and
some severe suspension damage there, John.
Yeah, rather more than a tyre, isn't it? Yeah, but he was caught there, and what a shame. What a shame for him. But he'll live to fight another day. He's got a substantial lead in the championship, so it may not make too much of a difference, particularly if he can come back strongly in the second race.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll find that out just very, very shortly. Here's Chris Bolland then for RAFE Motorsports GT3, and again coming at a foul of that inertia of the 992 Cup cars there onto the brakes, trying to get going there. He's going to go a little bit too fast, try to rejoin, and he's going to loop that car right around. And I can tell you from experience, that is when the swear words start to come out, John. That is when the frustration and the anger really start to set in.
Yeah, luckily we don't have a comms camera or commentary from inside the cockpit for that one. That's the way it is. And have we got... Yeah, there is actually... Looking on the GT3, Isherwood is certainly closing on Chambers. The gap has now dropped to 2.7 seconds. It was over 4. And Tom Stevens is maintaining his third place with Darren Berris fourth, and Ryan Martin in fifth place with Ollie Wayne in sixth. But that gap is closing. Are we in for an exciting end to this race, David?
I feel, oh my goodness me, we've got contact. That's Ollie Wayne that gets hit there, and I believe that was that Ryan Martin that was involved, or was that a GT4 car? We'll find out in just a sec. I think that was actually a GT4 car that got in the side of that there. Will Matty Isherwood catch up on him? Potentially, yes. That gap is now 2.4 seconds, so it is coming down. But is it going to come down enough in the next minute and a half? I can't see that happening. But stranger things have happened, certainly here on the AFVRC. Right, this is Dan Hardwick here. This is one of the GT4s, and you've got two GT3s. Ah, right, okay, so he wasn't anything really to do with that then, because you can see, oh no, he was, sorry, Dan Hardwick being the white one. I thought Dan was the red car that just escaped there, so it was Dan Hardwick in that white GT4 that got tagged by one of the GT3s there. So if anything, it sounds like the GT3.
Oh.
Tell me that's not Dan again up in the background. No, that was Steve Ward, I believe that was, spinning around at the exit of Stowe Corner. There's Chris Slater trying to hold on to his position. It's not going to work. Ollie Wayne round the outside then, and we've got huge drama with 40 seconds left to go. We're going to be coming on to our final lap of the race. In fact, this might be the final lap of the race here, and Matty Chambers still in the lead, but that gap down to 2.2 seconds here.
Yeah, if only Matty would have just had another couple of laps, he might well have been chasing Matty Chambers from the Royal Navy. But I think Chambers is probably going to have, as you say, probably just going to have enough now to hold him off and to claim the full points from this GT3. And again, we talked about Adam Barron, weren't we, earlier? He's doing so well again tonight in the GT4, holding his position and a 3-second lead over Luca Pino.
There we go then. Checker flag is out, John. Across the line comes Matty Chambers. It's a win, but a very close win because Matty Isherwood hunting him down there. Tom Stevens is going to cross the line in third. Ryan Martin in fourth. It's then Darren Berris in fifth. Ollie Wained will take sixth position there with Chris Slater down in seventh. Now, second place in the championship, Chris Darnell. What we need to see is how consistent was Chris Darnell, because he could have been all the way at the back there, but it's all about how his times compared. Then down to ninth position for Stu Eatick. Colin Scott in 10th position. Adam Barron starts off the GT4s and he takes the GT4 win ahead of Luke Arpino. Michael Clough in second place. Matty Banyard in fourth. Craig Dunn somehow gets himself back up into fifth position. Dan Hardwick down to sixth. Steve Ward in seventh. Michael Tate in eighth. And then it's down to ninth position. And that is the number 10 car of James Fielding. Duncan Steele is going to be in 10th position there as well. So, well, a chaotic start to the race and a chaotic finish to the race. And before we go on to discuss that, let's get the reverse grid for our next race then. And this picks out how many cars are going to be reversed. It's a top 10 reverse grid. And that, believe it or not, puts Colin Scott on pole position for our second race. So, John, so much to pick out of that first race.
Yeah, absolutely. I certainly pick in the GT4. Adam Barron, he kept himself out of trouble. He did extremely well there. He led from the word go with them. Luke Arpino, excellent race from him, and Michael Clough keeping really himself on the podium with a good recovery from him as well, because he had a bit of a shaky start, I think, to the race. We did see him go off, but he came back to get third place. From the GT4 point of view, very interesting. And Craig Durrant, you've got to give him credit. I mean, look where he finished. He finished fifth after that disastrous spell mid-race where he was knocked off. He looked like he was back in the pits, wasn't he? It looked like his race was over, but there he is. He finishes fifth, which is a remarkable performance from him in the GT4. As far as the threes are concerned, well, it finished as we the top two they started, with Matty Chambers and Matty Isherwood in second place, but I thought it was a really good run from Isherwood to literally finish just 1.8 seconds behind. He was such a long way behind and so many places behind, but he worked his way through the field very, very cleverly and got himself the second place, with Tom Stevens obviously getting the third place as well for the Royal Navy. So actually quite a good race there for the Navy with the first and the third.
Certainly was. It's time for my one of two favourite parts of the night, and it's trying to guess who you want to go and have a speak with and bring them in before we can get them in. So who would you like to have a little chat to first tonight, John?
Well, let's start with the four, shall we? Let's bring Adam Barron in to start with, if Adam's around, because that was a particularly good race from him. He led from the word go in the GT4s, kept himself out of trouble, and I thought raced extremely well tonight. Adam, are you there?
I am, yeah.
Adam, well done. That was you've certainly over the last few weeks you've been having a bit of a stormer of a time, haven't you?
Yeah, this is what I mean. I was gutted, like I say, to miss those races because I thought I might have been in a decent shout this season. But that was a interesting race. Put it that way. I wasn't expecting to race GT3s, and the start was I just wasn't expecting it. So Michael got the jump on me. Unfortunately, span it off, and then Luke kept me honest for a good half of the race. But in the meantime, we had the GT3s like literally within us. So it was really interesting.
Yeah, was anybody expecting a standing start, or was that just a surprise for everyone?
I don't know whether the race organisers, trying to entertain us somewhat by throwing it in there. But I thought that when we lined up on the grid and we were not side by side, we were sort of adjacent, gaps between one another. I thought, hang on, what's going on here? And the lights went off, and I went, ah!
Well, it did you no harm whatsoever, because obviously you led from, you started on pole, for the fours, and you've got the maximum points again. And a good. I wasn't around for last week. I missed last week's, but I think you had a pretty good evening in Spa last week as well, didn't you?
Yeah, the first race wasn't very good for me. I didn't come out with any points with that one, but the second one I finished first and with a full 25. So I don't know what the consistency was like for that race for everyone else. It was interesting for me. So if I could be at the top of the championship charts again at the end of the round, then I'll be happy.
Okay, cheers, Adam. Nice to talk to you, and congratulations. Shall we bring Luke in now? Luke Arpino, who finished in second place in the GT4s tonight. Luke, are you happy with how things went for you this evening?
Yeah, I couldn't ask for better. That was great fun. I'm not too sure what happened at the start. There was a bit of a mix-up on a straight, but yeah, kept clean, and yeah, had a good little race with Adam. Really enjoyable, but he just had 2 temps on me and just pulled away.
I don't think anyone expected what was going to happen at the start tonight. I think it's had everyone fooled. You have to be on your toes, don't you, with those standing starts? Otherwise, you can end up in all sorts of trouble.
Yeah, definitely. Especially for the faster cars, I believe they can stall off the line, whereas the GT4s can't. So yeah, it's a bit of a risk of piling into the back of them. But yeah, no, happy with that.
Play your cards right, and well, you certainly did that this evening. So well done to you, Luke. And if we can bring Michael Clough in as well, because Michael might be able to explain to us what happened at the start for him as well, because obviously it didn't go well at the start, Michael, but it didn't affect you. You got a top 3 in the end.
Yeah, I think it could have been on for a podium, like a top step, but I think it just all went wrong at turn 1. I got a really good start and passed a few GT3s that were struggling, and got alongside Matt Isherwood. But then entering turn 1, he didn't really have any room on his outside because Ollie Wayne was coming across, and it left me with even less. So my tyres got under grass. I didn't anticipate the lack of grip and went round, and then just had to claw it back. But capitalised on a few people's mistakes and incidents ahead and managed to get back to third.
You did well, Michael. Congratulations, well done. Good luck for the next race. Shall we move on then to the GT3s now? And well, the standing start, I think, caught a lot of people out this evening. Let's start with Tom Stevens, who finished in third place. Tom, how was that race for you? How was the start?
Yeah, I think it caught everyone out a little bit, but luckily I do quite a lot of Porsche Cup, so standing starts is if you get the knack right, you can get off the line quite easily.
You've got to be on your toes, as we've already heard, and prepared for that standing start. It looks like the organisers are keeping everyone very much in the dark about how the starts are going to be. So it actually is a great leveller in a way with the GT4s, because obviously they have the benefit of the traction control, whatever, that you don't have. So that sort of levels things up a bit at the start, but it can cause some mayhem.
Yeah, to be fair, from my end, it looked quite tidy at the start. But I was speaking to a couple of GT4 guys, and they say they came off the line a lot easier and a lot better than some of the GT3s. So they spent most of their race battling some of the GT3s, which was quite fun.
Well, you did very well for Royal Navy, so congratulations for the senior service. Good, valuable points for the team there, Tom. And I know we'll be talking to Matty Chambers very shortly as well, so we'll get his take on it. But well done to you. Let's bring in now, shall we, Matt Isherwood, who Matt, that was an interesting race from your point of view, but a very creditable second in the end.
It was. The writing was on the wall from the start, really. Mucked up the standing start, obviously, and from there it was just damage limitation. So to get to P2, it's kind of the limit of my potential after the start, and hopefully in the reverse, I'll have more of a chance to get to the front.
Yeah, well, it's been a great week for you, hasn't it? Winning that Legends race as well in the real thing. How does it compare with coming back to the sim racing?
I always say that the sim racing makes me more nervous. Which is quite bizarre to think about, but you just have so much more time to think about things, and obviously there's not as much adrenaline running. But once you're into a race and you're into the rhythm, iRacing is so realistic, the platform that we're using, that it almost feels like the real thing. All of the same, like skills and stuff, it's directly transferable, so it doesn't feel too dissimilar apart from the adrenaline and obviously the actual feel of it.
But a great week for you, so congratulations. And I'm sure you'd like to add a number one spot to complete the week with you in the second race.
Yeah, exactly. That's the plan.
Well, good luck for that. Let's bring Matty Chambers in finally,
Cheers.
then winner of the GT3. Well done, Matt, on that second place. And Matty, the other Matt chased you all the way, didn't he? But it was your race in the end. You led from the front, and it was certainly an interesting start, as we've been discussing. But for you, really good points to finish with, and also for the Navy.
Yeah, it's good for both of us. I saw Tom sort of got a flyer as well through the middle of the pack. So after that, it was a matter of keeping our noses clean. I saw Isherwood and Ryan Martin had bad starts. And by the time Isherwood got through, I had a big enough gap that I could sort of manage the traffic safely and manage the car safely towards the end. So, yeah, just sort of brought it home.
I think it was about
Mathematically.
management, wasn't it? It was definitely about management, because he was chasing you hard another 2 or 3 laps, maybe another 3 or 4 laps. And I think it would have been quite a dogfight between you two to settle this one.
Yeah, I think I had a bit more in the car, but I just wanted to keep it safe because this track seems so tricky on the car. Like, if you give it a bit too much throttle, it'll try and kill you instantly. So with the gap in hand, I thought there's no point in risking it.
Well, I think it was a very good call in the end, because obviously you've claimed the maximum points. So well done, and all set then for the second race, although you will have to claw your way back from 10th on the grid.
Yeah, fun.
Well, we're just wondering what sort of a start we might get for this second one. Well, it'll be either a rolling start or a standing start. It'll be very, very interesting. But well done, Matty. Great performance, and keep it going in the second race.
Thanks very much.
Okay, so that's all our top 3 winners in both categories there, David. And I think you heard it from all of them that they were all caught out by the start, but some did better than others.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It's a case of being on your toes. We saw this a couple of weeks ago happening. It's going to be in the back of their minds just to be prepared for just in case. And it's not the easiest thing to do, but it leaves us with lots and lots of questions ahead of our second race of the evening. That's going to be coming up in a couple of minutes. We're going to take a short commercial break though, and when we come back, we'll be live for race number 2. So a warm welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, to week number 7 of the Armed Forces Virtual Race Challenge here on YouTube and Facebook on the RAFE Motorsports channel. It's David Christie and John Knighton here with you to bring you live coverage of race number 2 after an eventful race 1 that saw a really mixed affair with Matty Chambers taking the win from a resurgent, dominant comeback from Matty Isherwood, dropping down all the way to 6th position, and then in the GT4s as well, it was all about... well, it wasn't about Craig Dunn for once, it was all about Adam Barton. Anyway, here is your grid then. We've got a pace car, so it's going to be a rolling start. Let's just celebrate that for the start, right? Colin Scott in the Veterans GT3, along with GE Tech, make up the front row for RAF Central Fund GT3. Chris Darnell and Chris Slater, Ollie Winged and Dan Berris in row 3. Row 4 is Ryan Martin and Tom Stevens. Row 5 is Matty Isherwood and Matty Chambers. Ben Weston and Chris Bolland to round out your top 12. Then into the GT4s is Duncan Steele with I can't quite read that just now. There we go, James Fielding in second place, and we'll read through the rest of them as they come through the order just now, because they're coming into the final couple of corners. But you've got Michael Tate, you've got Dan Hardwick, and the rest of them in the GT4s. Here we go then for the second race of 2 tonight. The GT3s just making their way around, and away we go. We get underway then as they come tearing down the road towards Abbey Corner for the first time of asking, and thankfully this time everyone gets going safely here. And John, I say that too soon as someone's already off. Tell me that's not Craig Dunn. That wasn't Craig Dunn. Craig's to 6th position, but that might have been
Michael
Steve
Clough.
Ward. Well, we've got Steve Ward in pit lane as well.
Well, it was. I maybe just need to see the replay. It was Chris Slater, was it, causing all the mayhem? So much for him not having any training during the week, or certainly during the day. It's cost him because Chris has slipped right back down, hasn't he, down the board, and so he's got a bit of timing to make up. But Colin Scott has already dropped his leading place, and Craig Darnell has has grabbed the lead already in the GT3. He's gone up a couple of places. He's overtaken Scott and Martin with Etok in 4th place and Chambers 5th. And how about in the GT4s? Well, it's Steele, Fielding and Hardwick. So Barrow's now, Barron's gone down. Something's happened to Adam Barron.
Yeah, he's in the pit lane. So Adam Barron into pit lane, and Tom Stevens, and wow, so many drivers having issues here on the second race. So Adam Barron into the pits. It's not just that he's retired, he's went into the pits there. You see Luke Arpino getting very, very optimistic, trying to fire it up the inside. That hits James Fielding. That knocks James Fielding down a couple of places and into the wall. That's Luke Arpino again. Stu Etik has had problems in the GT3s as well. And what the hell is going on here? John, have they just decided in chat or something to have some wacky races for race 2? Because
it looks like it.
We've certainly were not party to any conversations that they've had.
Well, no, and as you were saying, it was such a good sedate start to the race, and then suddenly it's all gone to pot from both the 3s and the 4s. So goodness knows what's going on there. Colin Scott's now dropped down to 6th place in the GT3s. Obviously overtaken. Matt Isherwood has climbed to 5th with Stewie Tock in 5th place, 4th place now rather. Matty Chambers has gone to 3rd, and Ryan Martin is 2nd behind Chris Donnell. So Chris Donnell actually has done pretty well, hasn't he? I think he started well. He started in 3rd place. He's kept his place and moved up. But things seem to be maybe settling down a little bit now. But it's been rather manic in these first couple of laps.
Hang on a minute. What on earth? Take a look at GT4 in 2nd place and tell me how Craig Dunn is into 2nd place.
Does he beam himself? Does he beam himself into 2nd place there?
He just transports himself, just picks a place and says, yeah, I'd like to have that one tonight, please. 2nd place. When we looked at him on lap 1, John, he was in 7th place or something. That's absolutely absurd to see that.
Well, yeah, I think there's a bit of Star Trek going on here. Beam me in, Craig, and he's certainly done it. And he's up to 2nd now. Brilliant. He's only just over a 1.5 seconds behind Steele, who's actually leading at the moment.
Yeah, it certainly is. But 3 minutes 47 of the 15 gone. It's then going to be Darnell in the lead of this race. Chris Darnell from Ryan Martin, and Matty Chambers with Matty Isherwood in 4th position. So essentially it's very similar to the first race with Matty Chambers leading Matty Isherwood. But how long is Craig Dunn going to stay in that 2nd place there, John?
It's a very good question. Chris Slater right at the back of the field now in 20th place after his coming off at the start of the race. So not turning into a very good day for Chris Slater. He's just pulled up a place. He's just overtaken Michael Tate to go into 19th. Luke Arpino is there in 18th place. He's trying to pull himself back into the reckoning. And Ollie Wayne 10th place at the moment for the RAF, with Weston 9th and Stevens in 8th place. So all to play for. Ryan Martin is still chasing. He's still chasing Chris Darnell. Less than half a second between those two. And Matty Chambers, great performance from him. He's pulled himself right back in there, as has Matt Isherwood too, because he had a difficult start, didn't he? And Duncan Steele leading the way now in the GT4s. Durrance is just a 1.5 seconds behind. Can he pull that out of the fire?
Well, that's what we're going to find out in the next 10 minutes here, John. What a cracking start to the race that we've had here. Literally any one of those top 4 of Darnell, Martin, Chambers and Isherwood could take this win here in race number 2. Whereas, I'll be honest with you, I think Duncan Steele has maybe got a little bit the measure of Craig Dunn right now, because there's contact. That's Matty Chambers. Matty Chambers goes round with Ryan Martin. There's more contact. Martin off into the barrier, and that is the two of them going to go down and down and down through the order then. And Stu Etik somehow, oh my goodness me, so there's been more chaos. Matty Isherwood is off as well now. Stu Etik out of absolutely nowhere, is going to be like trying to figure out what is going on. And Matty Isherwood, his night is going from bad to worse. I knew that car was going to disappear as soon as that car spun round. That was a very textbook definition of a rage quit right there. We need to find out what on earth happened, because there was two separate incidents there. There was the incident with Ryan Martin colliding with that other car there, and we'll get a look at the replay then. So
let's just see what's happening.
Oh, he just tries to turn in. The problem is that the 144 tries to stick its nose up inside. There's no room for it, and that was never going to work. So Matty Chambers gets taken out there, and then just in front of there as well, there's another incident that ends up taking
Isherwood.
And there we go. That's Isherwood there. Oh, and then he goes back onto the track. See, for me, that is. I'd need to see that on board, or I'd need to see his inputs to see if there was any break in there, because it just looks like he rolled straight back onto the track there, and that will get him a bit of a wrist slap from race control there. But my goodness me, everything is turned on its head. Oh, and look who's going to be taking lead of GT4 now any second now. Well, anything that we could have predicted for this race by the first half, I mean, we might as well rip up the book and throw it out the window here.
Yeah, he needs to go stand outside in the cold for a minute and then come back again, because things are just changing by the second. Stu Eatock now has the lead, of course, with Chris Boland in second place and Tom Stevens third. This is the driver's eye view of what happened with Matt Isherwood. And then, it's just so difficult. Matt must have wondered what on earth was going on, because it was like a concertina, wasn't it? There were like sort of three cars all rolling off at the same time and all going in all different directions. Just really weird.
Absolutely bizarre.
But look who's now leading. Who's now leading. Yeah, GT4.
Done into the lead of GT4s. Ladies and gentlemen, sit in your seats. It's fine. Normal service has been resumed. Craig Dunn, everything is fine in the world. Craig Dunn back to the top of GT4 though. Stu Eatock though, if you'd said to him he was going to be leading a race tonight, I think he would be chewing your arm off to take that here. Here's James Fielding's view of what happened there. Let's have a look. Is this going to be a dive up to the inside? Oh, that's unfortunate to say the very least there. Just an awkward accident between the two of them there, and he'll get back onto the track.
Back onto track. Yeah, but yeah, quite right. I mean, Stuart Eatock, the barn door was left wide open. He's just charged all his way straight through, hasn't he? Although there's not a lot between him and Chris Boland at the moment. And Tom Stevens is just a couple of seconds behind as well. So everything to play for in these last few minutes of the second race. Very exciting.
Yep, certainly is. And let's have a look here then. This is Dan Hardwick around and around and around the corner at Vale there. So he is, safe to say it has not been his day today. Stu Eatock though, as you said, Chris Boland, 0.4 of a second behind that car out in front, as we see Craig Dunn there in the lead of the GT4s. Tell you what, he's not actually streaking away as much as I thought he would. It's still 0.8 of a second, but Duncan's still doing a good job keeping him honest, keeping him open as we come into the final couple of minutes of this race here. But GT3s, as we said, Stu Eatock from Chris Boland and Tom Stevens, surprisingly, up into third. Again, he'll be very happy with that one. Colin Scott in fourth, Ben Weston. In fact, Boland takes the lead. Boland ahead of Stu Eatock right now.
Well, it was coming, wasn't it? He was so close. He was right on his tail, and he picked his spot, and he's got that lead. So, and I can't see Chris Boland giving this one up unless something catastrophic happens, because he's certainly got the pace, hasn't he?
Yeah, he certainly has. But here we go then. Just 4.5 minutes left to go in the second lap, the second race of the evening. Duncan Steele trying to catch up onto the back end of Craig Dunn there, but it's not going to happen. So Stu Eatock's glory and fame and fortune is short-lived, as it's been put to bed from the looks of it by Chris Boland, who has moved up, get this, 11 positions. 11 positions from the start of this race.
And look at Colin Scott as well, David. Look, because he actually led the race from the start with the spin round of the grid positions, and he dropped right down the field, but he's right back up there again. So this is Colin Scott's probably his best day so far, I would imagine, in this competition.
Have to agree with you there on that one. That's a very, very good point. And 3.5 minutes left to go in this race, and it's looking like it's starting to settle down after all that chaos. And Chris Boland is off. Chris Boland from the lead of the race, and I said it, didn't I? I opened my mouth and I said, just as this race is starting to calm down and your race leader goes and bins it all by himself, I'm beginning to believe, John, I'm beginning to believe Stewie Tick is the man for the moment. He is. We need Stewie Tick to win this race. It needs to happen now. It's just he's come too close, tantalisingly. But look at this, Tom Stevens now is wanting to break that dream for him. The heartlessness of Tom Stevens to snatch this away from Stu right at the last.
Go on, get back. Go on. Put the brakes on.
It's just we need to get this campaign going here, John.
Yeah, E-Talk. But no, he's doing well, and he's got a half a second lead at the moment. But can Tom Stevens break that one down? And can Chris Boland get himself back into it? He's only 6 seconds behind. It's quite a lot to make up, but he's still in third place. He's still on the podium, so he still has a chance here. And the way things are going in this race, anything can absolutely happen. Anybody can make a mistake on their own, as you said, just with Chris Boland a moment ago. But Craig Durrant leads the way in the GT4s. Can't see him giving that one up either, David.
Absolutely. I don't think he will as well. I think Duncan Steele isn't going to be able to offer much. But what I'm watching is this fight for GT4s. Matty Banyard and Duncan Russell, Dave Russell, just in front of Stu Etic right here. In fact, here comes Stu right onto the back of these GT4s, and he needs to be careful where he catches them, because here we go, that's exactly where you want to, because gets them out of the way. And look at this, it's going to be side by side then, almost into Abbey, and what a move from Tom Stevens. Here comes Stu Etic, tries to keep the foot in around the inside, then it's going to be a run down to the next corner, and I think that's Tom Stevens. But what can Stu Etic do in response? I think he was a little bit overly eager on the exit of that corner there, and that might be that one done and dusted.
Yeah, so Stu Etic has lost the lead again for the second time in this race, but can he pull it back? He's only 0.3 seconds behind Tom Stevens, and he'll be chasing hard. He's got a bit of a slipstream to work with as well. And as they head down to, I think it's they're heading down to Stowe. So they've Stevens has got the lead at the moment. He's increased it to half a second, and at the moment you think that he maybe has this race, but we've just seen it changes hands so quickly.
Certainly does. The gap between Duncan Steele and Craig Durrant has come down very, very slightly. In fact, it's come down a lot. It's come down from 9/10 of a second to just 4/10 of a second. And now we're starting to see Duncan Steele in the toe of the car in front with just 30 seconds to go. So this is going to be the last lap that the GT4s are going to start here. And in fact, it's a GT4 car that's in front that is slowing down Craig Durrant here. That is incredible stuff. So if I go and check here and find out exactly what car that is just in front of them, in front of Craig Durrant here, I'm really, really curious to see. It's Michael Clough. It's Michael Clough that is just in front of them. That is a lap ahead. But there we go. So Cloughie manages to let the leader pass there, but we're on our final lap here. And in fact, Tom Stevens going to be coming out the final corner very, very shortly. Yeah,
well, it's a really good performance from Tom Stevens, isn't it? Because he's looks like he's going to grab this one, and that's really going to put the cat among the pigeons here, and turning into a great day for the Royal Navy again.
Yep.
Obviously, with Tom getting the third place in the first race.
Absolutely, and Stu Etic, heartbreak at Silverstone for Stu Etic. So close. He'll still absolutely take second place though. Chris Boland in third, Colin Scott in fourth position, Ben Weston in fifth, Dan Berris in sixth position, Chris Darnell in seventh, Ollie Waynes in eighth position, Chris Slater in ninth, and Craig Durant leading the GT4s. Now, what I will say is I have a sneaking suspicion that with 3 rounds left to go after tonight, I think that puts Craig Durant in a very, very commanding position championship-wise. If that's the case, if he takes the win on the driver's performance index, which I think he might, I think that puts it beyond realistically for Matty Isherwood or any of the other drivers, or Chris Darnell to actually hold on to, given that Chris Darnell, that's 2 what I think was 7th place finishes.
When we said that Craig Durant wasn't having a very good night earlier on, when he appeared to go into the pits, he's not done too badly, has he, really? Because he got a 5th in the first race, and he's just won that second race. So, it's not been too bad.
I think we have to take that back there. But confirmation then, Tom Stevens takes the race win from Stu Etic ahead of Chris Boland in third place, Colin Scott in fourth, Ben Weston in fifth, Dan Berris in sixth, Chris Darnell in seventh, Ollie Wayne in eighth, Chris Slater in ninth position, Matty Isherwood in 10th, Ryan Martin in 11th. And then moving on to the GT4, so it's going to be Craig Durant from Duncan Steele, and then Michael Clough in third position, Dan Hardwick in fourth, Luke Arpino in fifth, Dave Russell in sixth, 7th place for Matty Banyard, 8th place for James Fielding, Adam Barron in 9th, Michael Tate in 10th, and Steve Ward rounds out your 11 cars for GT4. Well, there we go. Another fun, frivolity-filled evening here at the AFVRC, and I get the feeling there are going to be lots and lots of people, John, waiting to speak to you.
Well, I'd love to actually hear from Colin Scott, actually, because we've not heard anything from him so far in this championship. So, Colin, if we can tune in to get hold of you, that would be brilliant. Let's start, though, shall we, with Craig Durant, shall we? Winner of the GT4 race. And Craig, turned into quite a reasonable night for you in the end. It wasn't looking so good halfway through that first race, but you managed to get it back to, I think, 5th, and came from nowhere in a way to then dominate the second race. Tell us how it went from your point of view.
Yeah, turn 1 didn't exactly go to plan. We had another surprise start. I got caught up with a GT3 car spinning on the grid, and that set the tone for race 1, didn't it? Had another slight, maybe I could have given who was it? Steve Ward a bit of a margin on lap 2, and that would have kept me in the hunt, but I didn't, and I had to go into the pits, so that was my race 1 over. But no, made it through the chaos of race 2, and
And not a bad night's work, and of course I think that should extend your lead in the championship. It's getting to the stage now where it's your championship to lose.
Yeah, that's how it felt after race 1. I was like, here we go. There's my lead cut in half. But no, I think I had quite a consistent race on race 2, so I should come away with a decent amount of points, I think.
Oh, well done. Congratulations on a good performance tonight in the end. Let's bring Duncan Steele in, second place, I think, tonight, Duncan, in that second race. Are you reasonably happy with how that went?
Yeah, more than happy with that. My first race was kind of written off the stand and start incident, so I didn't really get a race at all. I was a lap down straight out the box, so that was good fun. That
so rather more than damage limitation this evening, there, because you're on the podium, so that makes that counts for a lot. And of course, good points for the team for RF Motor Racing GT4.
Yeah, I think we're right in the mix. I was hoping for third in the championship, but I think there's 3 teams in and around us, so we'll see where we get. I think Luke scored points. I don't know about Dave. I haven't seen. He'll have scored points as well, so we should be all right.
On that performance index as well, that's so crucial. It's not necessarily just based on how well you've finished in the grid positions, but well done to you tonight, Duncan. Great performance.
Thank you very much.
Let's bring Michael Clough in as well for the second time tonight. Michael, you sort of you've had an interesting evening, haven't you, all in all?
It's been a little bit topsy-turvy, yeah, but it's 2 podiums, so I'll take it. But it has been a bit of a manic one, especially that last race.
Yeah, that was. We thought it all started fairly sedately with the rolling start, but it didn't last long. So you basically had to just keep yourself out of trouble, didn't you?
Yeah, and I was battling problems with my hardware. My pedals aren't working properly, so I'm not getting full throttle. Well, it's intermittent. Sometimes it's 80%, sometimes it's 90%, sometimes it's 100%. So I can never fully rely on my pedals at the moment. So it definitely slowed me down on the straights. I was lacking a bit of top end.
But 2 podiums, as you say, not a bad night's work considering those issues you've got. Well done, Michael. Congratulations to you. Let's move to the GT3s, and I'm hoping that Colin Scott is around because, as I say, we haven't actually spoken to Colin so far this season.
No such luck, unfortunately, Johnny.
He's gone, has he? I think I saw his name pop up before, but sadly we will get Colin on because that was a good performance from him to finish 4th in that race. Instead, let's move on to the man who finished 3rd then, Chris Boland. I think Chris is there. Chris, that's not a bad night's work for you either in the end.
Yeah, it could have been so much better. I thought I was on for the last to first challenge in that race then until my setup got the better of me.
Yeah, it did change a little bit for you, didn't it? And it was nip and tuck between you and Tom Stevens and Stu Etok, but a really good race to watch.
Yeah, cheers guys. I did enjoy it. I would have liked a bit more time to work on the setup of the car, to be honest. It just didn't feel right the whole session. That's why I ended up boxing after the first race and just getting out of everybody's way.
Well, and you made up for it with a podium tonight, so congratulations on that one. And maybe we can bring Stu Etok in now. 2nd place for you in that race, Stu. Do you know what? We were all cheering for you in the commentary box. We were hoping that it was going to be your night tonight, and it so nearly was, wasn't it? Because you led the race twice. Maybe you were quite surprised, I think, when you first had that lead.
I was surprised. I was surprised on the grid for a start next to Colin. So Colin got away well. We both got away well. But yeah, found myself, with an incident in front, and then found myself in front, which is it was a bit surprising. But
you lost that lead, I think, initially to Chris, and then got it back again when Chris had his slight mishap, losing it. And I think it was just a couple of laps too long for you with Tom Stevens, chasing hard. And then I think we also got a bit mixed up with some GT4s, and they didn't help, did they?
No, I mean my pace isn't as quick as obviously the other guys are very quick, and at times you can be a second off them sort of thing. But on this track, it's not so bad. I could sort of maintain a pace, but you could see, Tom was catching, and same as Chris. Chris jetted off. So unfortunately, he went off on that corner, and I got through. But like you said, Tom caught me with, and he would have done anyway. I just didn't have the laps left to get away, really. Well,
it was a good performance nevertheless, and I'm sure you'll go away happy with a 2nd place and the place on the podium. So congratulations to you tonight, Stu. And let's finally bring in our race winner tonight for this GT3, Tom Stevens. Tom, a 1st and a 3rd. That's not bad for a night's work.
Yeah, not what I expected really. I think I was a little bit lucky on race 2, but a little bit lucky. I was a lot lucky. A lot of cars coming off and stuff, but it's just taking my time, trying to keep it tidy, and obviously made one big mistake. Managed to come off, but just managed to work my way back up, which was good.
I think it's standard stuff, isn't it? You keep yourself out of trouble, and you find yourself popping up the charts sometimes rather more quickly than you expected.
Yeah, that's definitely it. So the guys at the top, they got good pace between them and stuff, and let them fight it out, and I'll pick up the scraps when I can get it.
And a good night for the Navy, actually. Looking overall at the results, because you've had a really good evening, so that'll certainly help with the team points, hopefully.
Yeah, it's been a good night overall. So Matty Chambers, aka Mr. Silverstone, always absolutely rapid round here. So he had a good race 1, and then unfortunately he's got caught up in incident race 2. But yeah, overall both races, some good points.
And just a final thought, what are your hopes for the rest of the season? We've got 3 rounds left, so there's still plenty of points to play for. I think we're all just getting used to these cars, aren't we now? These Porsches.
Yeah, it's always the way. It's always kind of the midpoint or latter stage of the season where everyone gets used to the cars, used to people they're racing with, and that's when it starts getting a little bit spicy. But unfortunately, I'm being drafted on the weekend, but there'll be Craig Beasley and Matty to hold the fort for the rest of the season.
So you're not able to have a go at this on board the ship, possibly with an Xbox controller or anything like that?
I could ask them if I could carry my rig on, but I don't think that'll go down too well.
Depends which ship you're on. If you're on board HMS Queen Elizabeth or Prince of Wales, they've got enough space probably for you to do that, but it depends where you are.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Tom. Well, good luck with the draft. I hope it all goes well, and you've given us a lot of pleasure tonight with your racing in those 2 races, so congratulations.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Looking forward to watching the broadcast back.
Cheers for now. Tom Stevens, then, winner of race 3, and of course he got the 3rd place in the first race that we saw this evening. So, yeah, some good racing tonight. Plenty of thrills and spills, though, David, for us to think about.
Absolutely, and what a race, or what a pair of races we have had tonight here at Silverstone International. We have got just 3 rounds left to go. We will be over at Snetterton next week, then back to Silverstone again for the GP layout the week after that, and then the final week is going to be Brands Hatch GP. We will keep you updated with all of the championship scores and the team scores, where it is still very, very tight. But a huge congratulations to Tom Stevens, a brilliant weekend, or a brilliant week for him so far. But we will be back with you on the YouTube at the same time next week. As always, like, subscribe, and follow us on Facebook as well. A huge thank you, as always, to John Knighton for joining me in the commentary box here for the AFVRC. A huge thank you to all of the team at RAFE Motorsports as well. Huge thank you to all the drivers. Huge thank you to all of you at home, and especially a huge thank you to Mike Yao behind the scenes at Sim Sport Solutions and Absolute Sim Racing. But that's it. We are done for tonight. We will see you at the same time next week. Thanks very much for watching. Take care.